lovely math teacher, Mr. Jerry. Hello, Mr. Jerry.
Hello, Irene. Thanks for
It's a real pleasure to
interviewing me.
meet you.
Great.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Well, you've done very well yourself. I'm Mr. Jerry. I'm the secondary mathematics teacher. I'm 60 plus. I come from Scotland. I'm married. I have two kids. And I've lived and worked in China for the last 6 years.
Oh, great. So in this interview, I'll ask you a couple of questions and we really need your honest response.
Okay.
And to start, I would love to learn a little bit about you. What's your thought on the start of this new academic year?
Like every new academic year, it's exciting. It's the beginning of another journey. I really don't know where we're going to go. I have an idea, but I don't know what's going to happen in class. I don't know who's going to learn what. And already I see things in my classes that make me really, really happy and help me get a sense that already students are really learning. And that's the thing that really, really excites me. It's students learning. That's the thing that we would say in English, floats my boat. I want to see students learning.
Do you have any expectations for your job this year?
As ever, I just want, I think any teacher, certainly me, I would see a key part of my job is to continue improving. Yeah, I regard myself as a lifelong learner. So, when you're a teacher, you're always learning. And one of the things I learn, the more I learn, is the more I understand how little I actually know, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm just sort of really kind of driven by this idea of learning, and as much for you to learn as I'm going to learn things. I'm going to learn about new ways to teach and new ways to promote learning and to build relationships with new students. It's a job. Teaching for me is every day there's usually a surprise, a pleasant surprise.
I remember that you used to talk about your childhood while we were having classes. Do you have many important childhood memories?
Yeah, I think I was a really privileged child because I grew up in a world where children could play in the street. And as I got older, football took over. So all we ever did was play. We come from a part of the world where football was just like a national obsession. And during the better weather, we would quite literally go home to eat and then go out to play football. But more than that, we were in a culture and society where we were able to roam. So we could go anywhere. There weren't the same concerns about cars and traffic and child security. I come from a part of the world where people used to, if children were naughty, the adults would tell them off. You behave yourself, don't do that. A perfect stranger would do that. And we would respect what the adults said. And all the adult needed to say was, where do you live? And that would put fear into us because we would not want any adult to go to our house to talk to our parents, because our parents would take a very bad view of our bad behaviour outside, and the punishment might be, well, you can't go out for 1 week. And that would be a terrible thing. When I think about your childhood in China, I mean, you guys spend an enormous amount of time in apartments, and that's been made worse recently because of COVID. But this whole idea that you can go out onto the street and play with, and just meet up with other children, I don't think that really exists. It doesn't exist here, and I don't think it really exists anywhere in the world. So I kind of think we had a kind of like it was just, I mean, like, where I grew up, when I was a kid, right, there were 2 cars parked in the street. It was unusual for people then to have cars. If you had a car in the early 1960s, you were considered to be very rich. I was back in my hometown about just before COVID, and in the same street, you couldn't move on this because it was bumper to tail cars. The whole street was jammed, both sides with parked cars, no space to run around, kick a ball, play. So yeah, I think I had a sort of almost like an idyllic childhood.
Do you have any wishes to happen this year?
Yes. Well, my own personal life has been very badly disrupted by the COVID pandemic, and I'm hoping that by the end of this month that my wife and my 2 children, who are currently in the Philippines, will be back in China, and that we'll be able to live together as a family unit. I look forward to that. I mean, if not the end of this month, then quite soon. But we're experiencing we're experiencing some bureaucratic problems, but I'm hoping that those will be solved by the end of the week.
Yeah.
So that's my big hope, just to all be together.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome, Irene. Good luck.
Thank you
Well
so
done.
much.
That's the beginning.